he sworn to secrecy back there? Okay. Good evening. It's 5:30, Littleton Plnbrd. Okay. It's bad enough I hear myself in my ear. So we need to go into executive session for the purposes of the ongoing litigation for Healy Corner, 195 to Tadawon Road. So do I have to vote to go into it, or just go into executive session?
You have to vote, a roll call vote, and after you have to have after the chair publicly states that having the discussion in open session would have a detrimental effect on the public body's litigation position.
Didn't I just say that?
Yeah, there you go.
You couldn't.
And he will resume an open session at the conclusion of the executive session.
And we will go into open session at the conclusion of our executive session. So I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session, and I'll take a roll call. Delisa?
Aye.
Bartlett? Aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. All right, so we will shut the feed off and,
Yep, give me just a moment to post
Okay.
these.
I didn't know there was a delay.
Yeah. It's only a few seconds.
What?
It's only a few second delay. Seems like a lot.
Oh, now we're in. Okay, good evening, everyone, and we're back out of executive session. And I will open the meeting by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you all. We're running a little late. We have a 6:10 informal discussion, 95 Taylor Street.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening. My name is Mark Gallagher from Seal Harbor Development. We visited with you last summer and had an informal discussion about developing 95 Taylor Street. It's just about a 10-acre parcel, 9.88 parcel that is midway down Taylor. Natural resources are adjacent to it in the back. We've spent time since August working with the Conservation Commission on an ANRAD and determining where the riverfront was. We had a lot of, obviously, rain this summer that kept it alive. And we now have a settlement with the Conservation Commission on where the riverfront is. And in your packet tonight, there was the colored rendering that Maren has up now. And essentially, the 9.8 acres could support 4 or 5 lots. We've taken a more conservative approach to stay away from or out of the riparian, both the inner and the outer riparian, and place the houses outside of the natural resource area. So we're proposing 3 homes, construction of a way that would be about 195 feet long, and each of the lots would be large. We'd be protecting the riparian area, the wetlands area, and more importantly, all of the topography and the tree line that's adjacent to the riverfront area. So we wanted to try to get some informal input from you this evening. We gave you 2 plans in the packet. One shows a large cul-de-sac for the 3, and we would like to be able to move away from the large cul-de-sac to a T-turnaround that's allowed in the current zoning. And we're limiting the road to 195 feet. We'd like to propose Cape Cod berms, about a 20-foot travel distance width, and then off of that, each of the 3 driveways would be not too long, because again, we're staying away from the wetlands and the riparian area. So we would not be disturbing anything in the riparian area. The soil conditions are all bank gravel, sand, excellent for drainage. We don't anticipate having any, very large retention basins or recharge areas, because the entire area will be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, concerns? Go ahead.
I am just, this is not a hearing,
No.
This is an informal
because I was
discussion.
going to say, do we have anyone in the audience that,
Well, I'm going to ask that after.
Okay.
But I was going to ask us all questions first.
I have no questions.
Do you have an issue with
No.
going from a cul-de-sac to a
No.
T-turnaround, shared driveway kind of setup?
I have no problem with that.
Bartlett?
No, it's okay with me.
Lisa? Okay. Anna?
So I have a
Hello.
question.
Yes.
The antique house, is it going to be demolished?
It is, it's in very poor shape. We actually have the demolition, we've been in, the owners applied for demolition through the Historic Committee, and they've gone through. I believe in February of this year, the Historic Committee voted to allow the demolition to occur.
And then there was a request from BPAC around the sidewalks.
Yeah, we had a conversation, we had a conversation when we were outside about sidewalks. We're familiar with the concept, obviously, we developed quite a bit in Acton, it's an automatic, based upon the lineal footage of the road, that we provide money upon approval to the sidewalk committee for them to build sidewalks and other,
Okay.
yep. I can't
So
imagine you
you're
want
in
us to build.
agreement about
Yeah.
providing funding for it?
Not
Okay,
an issue.
all right.
I just
thought
can't
I'd
imagine you
read
want
that.
us to build sidewalks on this road, it's, against the conversation we had outside.
How far are you from the wells that are behind it? Because there's got to be a 500-foot radius.
Oh,
Are
yeah,
you're way more than that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, the lot's large. I think it's 9.8 acres in totality. There's an AT&T out in the riverfront area. There's a post out there if you ever go out there, and that's got to be 600-800 feet
All
high.
right, so you're plenty.
We originally spoke with Littleton Water about their well and got their input. I think they're going to have some, when we get to the definitive stage, I think they want to have some restrictions on use of fertilizer and, all of the things that are
Okay.
normally imputed on this type of an area, but we're far away.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience with any questions or concerns? Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Name, please.
Vanessa Strong,
Okay, address for Maren.
59 Wilson Road.
Okay.
I'm part of the BPAC committee and also the Economic Development Committee. And we were just here to support either the sidewalks or a contribution to the sidewalk fund. And it sounds like it's well in hand, so that's very good to hear.
Thank you.
And our first choice would have been to give the house to somebody and move it, but
Yeah.
it's in very, very bad shape.
Okay, so that's pretty much your biggest
That's all
concern.
we wanted to hear, some direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you.
You as well.
Hey, we're back almost on time. We have a 6:20 something. 245 Foster Street. Are they on for tonight?
He never responded to
Okay,
what they wanted, so.
all right.
Okay.
Well, we're ahead of the game now.
We have you have an extension on that until January 18th or something. We're
Okay.
on the next
Oh,
meeting.
okay. All right. Did they even call to say they were coming in, or? No? Who put them on? Or did they
They asked for the
it?
extension
Okay,
till January.
Oh, okay.
But we never had the discussion about when they would be on, so
all right.
rather than drop it off. I
you
think
put it
that's-
on just as a, okay, sure.
By the way, the extension, the date said January 19th, 2023.
Yeah.
24, so.
Okay. All right, so we have a 6:30 then. Special permit Taylor Street Water Main. Extensions, Littleton Light and Water, Electric Light and Water Department.
Marin with Weston and Sampson.
Good evening.
So we've received peer review comments from Greener National Associates, to which we provided the responses to the town, I believe the end of last week or the beginning of this week. And just today, we resubmitted revised documents in support of the application We submitted revised plans and revised stormwater calculations.
And you
So-
and Green kind of in agreement now?
Yes, I believe so.
Yep, so Green did the review, that actually it was like a page and a half of comments instead of their usual 7, so that was a good reflection on the design engineer. And then just heard back from Green later this afternoon that they will be able to do the back check this upcoming week. So they'll be ready for a recommendation before the January 11th meeting.
So we should have it all buttoned up by January 11th?
That's the plan, and it seemed to agree with the water department's schedule.
Okay.
And I kind of recommended not to close too soon, because if conservation needs any changes, then that allows for those to happen before the planning board votes as well.
Great. So what time do you want to schedule them for the January 11th? Yeah, anybody in the audience have any questions? I kind of doubt on this one. This is a well site. I mean, it's in the middle of 54 acres.
So I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So, well, there was an item on the peer review number 9 that talked about seeking relief. So isn't that something that we should be talking about? Because it seems like the big question was whether or not that drainage would be large enough. And so wanted to get,
Well, I mean, if Green's okay with the drainage, and
no, they were the ones who were pointing it out. And then I think Weston and Sampson said,
Sorry, I'm just trying to find the comment.
yeah.
Okay, number 7.
And by the way, I agree wholeheartedly that with only 16 peer review comments, that was great.
Appreciate it.
That's what we should be getting, instead of projects that have more than 50, which are so bloody painful.
Okay, yeah, so I believe this was comment 7.
Oh, is it 7?
About having an infiltration basin within a 50-foot setback. So, the way that we've always interpreted this is that setback is to apply to infiltration practices located within a down gradient slope, within 50 feet of a down gradient slope. Because at that point, there's potential risks involved with breakout of the stormwater runoff on the side of the slope, which could destabilize it, and it can cause potential failure of a basin. So we discussed this with Jim Thorne at Green, and the slope that he was referring to was an uphill slope adjacent to the basin. There's a steep hillside adjacent to where we're proposing the basin, and it doesn't pose any risk to the basin failing or interfering with the way the basin would operate. And for us to cut that slope back to meet the slope requirement would involve, clearing approximately 1,300 to 1,500 square feet of woodland. So it would be a net negative in our opinion, and he seemed to agree. He had no objections to it.
okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
All right, just want to make sure we had that opportunity to hear about that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So we'll put you on for.
Do you want to do this one right at 6:15?
Sure, we'll get you in and out fast.
Okay, great. 6:15?
On the 11th. Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Okay, so we have a 645 A&R 1 and 2 Monarch Drive, no new lots. That you? Ms. Carter?
I do.
I know, I was looking at that.
Don't tell me we're gonna be out of here early.
Try real hard. This is the follow-up, this is the site at the end of Monarch Drive. The building to the left, on the left-hand side is the existing 1 Monarch Drive site. And the other building is the new building that was built for the Pods Warehouse. If you recall, the draft A&R plan, at the time of site plan review, there was a parcel that's being transferred, as shown on the plan, that's being transferred from 1 Monarch Drive to 2 Monarch Drive, and that transfer, we had to complete the new septic system for 1 Monarch Drive, and that's been completed, and so we're ready for the transfer to occur. So the change, actually, if I can show you up here. So the change is to create this parcel X, which is where the septic system for Lot 1 used to be. It's now back here. So that we are transferring this from 1 Monarch Drive to 2 Monarch Drive. There looks to be a jumble of easements there. The goal is they are going to, with the conveyance of that parcel X, they will be cleaning up all the easements, and many of them are abandoned. We had a water line easement that when they marked the water line, it didn't fall in the easement, so we have a new water line easement coming into play. But at this point in time, what you see is what is technically on the books right now for easements. And then there will be a major cleanup of the site and getting the easement straight. So we requested the board sign this A&R plan to create parcel X, which will be adjoined and annexed to parcel 2B and 2A, which is what we call 2 Monarch Drive.
Okay.
Yeah. I have no
Will a
problem
new
with
plan be submitted then after that happens with all the easements cleared up?
We've talked to our client about doing it. That would be an 81X plan that doesn't need to come before the board. It would be no new lines of ownership. And I'm not sure timing of when they'll do that, but I've encouraged them to do that because a future surveyor is going to be, what is going on? And we want to clean it up. And that's always been our intent, to do a clean plan later on. But for now, we couldn't.
Yeah, the 81X is a
Yeah.
easement plan when it wouldn't have any new lot lines, so planning board
Basically,
endorsements.
goes with
would
the
be
deed
needed.
and.
Right. So our intent
Good for them
is
to-
that in the future, if either of these buildings go through refinancing, a future surveyor doing a surveyor's report is gonna, just be too many pieces of balls up in the air that we want to clean it up, and just have several documents to refer to.
So I did have one concern. The application is not signed.
It is. I do have a signed application.
As I say, with some of the electronic submittals, I'm not sure if they
Yeah.
got the electronic one signed or if it was just
The original, yeah.
So, I have a question.
Sure.
How are the turtles
it.
going?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Oh, okay. So here's the interesting thing. I was out there with Brian Butler, and they had, I think they found 5 nests. 2 had already been destroyed by predators.
Oh, wow.
3, what they did this year, they put a cage over them. And when the turtles hatched, they took them somewhere to raise them. I think it was one of the ag schools in Essex County, that they've been doing this with Natural Heritage, and they had, I think he said, 69 turtle hatchlings survive. But the survival rate of, if they are released and not captured in nature, they only get about, I think he said 10% survive. And they've got like a 65% survival rate if they release those 1-year-old hatchlings.
Do they release them back to the
They'll
same
come
area?
exactly back here.
That's
They've
really
been stayed
cool.
separated, and they'll bring them right back here so that they will continue to breed in this area. But he said it's somewhat of a pilot program that they started for another site, and Natural Heritage was in agreement for them to try it here, so they were really excited about that. So, and they had, and those were in the new nesting area, so the new nesting area has been successful. And they have the new culvert in with the grates on the top for the turtle crossing. And we'll see if it gets used at all next year. Brian said he's got, they put the radio transmitters on some of the turtles, and he said he was surprised at how far they go into the swamp back there and around the brook. And some of them are actually in Boxborough on the end of Beaverbrook Road, and he's been surprised at some of the distances that they
So these are spotted turtles.
no,
right?
these
Is
are
that-
Blandings. although I probably shouldn't be saying that in public there, state this, but yeah, it's plantings. Spotted aren't listed,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so they only are really concerned about that. So, it worked out well.
That's great.
That's great.
Nice to have a success story to tell.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of effort put into.
Oh, it was,
Yeah.
it was. And when they got out into the turtle nesting area, they discovered that that's where some of the loam had gone when they did all the, you know, over the years, all the gravel excavations. So they had to remove all that loam and bring in good clean sand because that's what the turtles want. So
Wow.
it makes life complicated. Oh, you need to vote. As I say, I don't know if you signed the plan tonight or if I should pick it up tomorrow.
You can probably sign it right now. Sure, I'll entertain a motion to approve the plan as presented.
I so moved.
Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so you know what? This is the new, kinder, gentler planning board. We'll sign it right now.
Thank you. Well, it's the holidays.
Yeah, since you've been so kind to the turtles.
Yes.
You know, it was so nice to be able to tell a good outcome.
Well, it was sort of fascinating, the various experts that
So
came
if you
in.
do the small ones. I think that one's not working. I usually have about 8 of them in my pocketbook, and I realized as I walked in tonight, I
So
didn't
you do a
restock.
lot with Oxbow, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this construction supervisor out there, Steve Gallagher, had sent these photos to building department.
For our own edification, if we were at a site that had a vernal pool on it, what would that involve? I mean, Mara and I have lived through vernal pools.
It depends on the town. And to be honest with you, it changes over time. Some towns will say nothing within 100 feet of the edge of the vernal pool. But often the vernal pools are buried and surrounded by bordering vegetated wetlands. So the only time it's a bigger concern is when they have endangered species in there. And if the endangered species are something that migrates, like a turtle or a...
Which is what we had to do in Hartwell Ave. We had the vernal pool there.
Yep, yep. That was the interesting one in Hartwell Ave.
Yeah, that was the one where they had to
We had to
check
get,
them and figure.
we had to
what-
get an administrative court order to allow us to go in during season to see, we were looking for the salamanders. And salamanders.
Because it was on private property?
No, it was, we were, the town was
Oh, when
bad.
the town was buying, we did it as an administrative one, with, I don't know if I can say the person's name, was developing it.
Yeah,
He wouldn't certify whether or not they had blue spotted salamanders on site. And the first warm rain in March is typically when they migrate, and he refused to let anybody on the property. So the town, with Judy Pickett, got an administrative court order to allow Oxbow to go in, and they found blue spotted, marbled salamanders, and a couple of others. And that one also has Blanding's turtles. So,
and that one, how long did it take? A couple of years, right?
for what?
To get it all resolved, because did you have to take a whole year to see where they migrated and all that?
I wasn't,
Yeah.
we were working for the town on that one, reviewing things. It took a while.
Yeah.
And then the water department ended up buying a lot of the land
Right.
for protection of their water supplies, so. The big thing was to confirm that they had endangered species on it.
Which 9 times out of 10, if you have a vernal pool, that's probably what you're gonna have.
Not really.
Well, really?
Well, in certain towns, if you're in Boxford or Littleton, Groton, yeah, you have a lot of the blue spotted salamanders. Brian told me that if they're rare in one part of the state, then they're the size of the whole state. He said where they're rare is on Cape Cod, because the soils don't hold the water long enough. But because they're rare on Cape Cod,
wasn't-
the rest of us have.
So
to.
they aren't particularly necessarily rare here, it's just,
Right,
okay.
right.
Well, that's interesting.
So the stuff you learn over time.
Wasn't Janet Levine raising them and putting them out there?
I think she told, her neighbor across the street had them coming through their stone foundation, and they had them in the corner of their
Oh,
basement.
really? Wow.
So, you know, we think that the acts of man scares these animals, but they really impress, so.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and
Yeah.
happy holidays,
you
everyone,
too.
thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Thank you.
Okay, what else? Don't tell me we're almost done.
Scan it, and then we can pick it up.
anything else?
I was just gonna give straight to
Yeah, I know we have to do, we have to finish that. Update firearm bylaw,
your report, everything's down.
special permit application form.
Okay, yeah.
Did I mention I really like having an assistant town planner?
Where is Cooper?
I had him sign up for some training this evening when we thought the meeting was going to be last week.
I thought he was stuck at school,
Yes, he's stuck at school.
grammar school,
Absolutely right.
grammar school. Nice thought.
Okay, so.
Thank you.
Right.
So he and Lucy have been working together on finalizing the Form 1J, which would be the application form for firearms businesses. So it would include, like almost all planning board special permit and site plan applications. Form 1 would be Form 1, and then this would be the supplement for firearms businesses. And what they did was just go through what the submission requirements are and copied those to this form. And
Is this for new, or is there a timeline where all the existing have
this would be for any new,
new ones? So the old ones, they're all grandfathered?
or anything, any existing
Modifications?
business with significant enough modification to require
Okay.
to go through this. It's just one of those bylaws that we adopted and hadn't yet created a form for.
Okay.
So I didn't know if you wanted to take the time to go through it now, or if you want to.
Do we even care?
Yes.
I don't think we do.
Well, why don't you distribute it to us
Let's
all?
all look at it, and we'll
Yep.
weigh in January. How's
That
that?
sounds good.
I look at the length of it and just can't help but wonder if anyone would ever
Right,
go through this.
okay.
There you go.
Special permit application form, how's that
Yeah,
one?
so that one is the Form 1 that I was just talking about.
So that they won't ever do it?
So the
Yeah.
I get the group that did that document.
big change was on page 2, part 2, where we put everything in alphabetical order and added the firearms business zoning bylaw. And we went back through and double-checked the code references that we list behind each one and corrected several of them.
Good.
What is the status of the code issue?
I mean, for the bylaw that we wrote?
No, the going through the bylaw to,
Yeah, so the planning board had requested and town meeting approved $32,000 for zoning diagnostic and recodification. Well, for the first part of that, next thing for us to do is issue an RFP and scope of services for that work, and that's getting pushed off until
yeah, okay.
there's
But
time to
it's,
address
but
it.
it's on the horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a town meeting appropriation, we have a little bit of leeway in the timing for when the money won't disappear at the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
Another way to put that. better way
I've
to
seen,
put that.
I've seen other towns that I've worked in recently that have gone through that process. And even the graphics makes a huge difference. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we can point to a few things that are clearly out of date.
Yeah.
And it'll help have some of the discussions about how you want to update the bylaw, so.
Okay, cool. So, also, 710, MBTA communities, multi-variant zoning, moving forward.
Oh, sorry, one more form.
Oh, God.
We found from another community checklist that planning boards can choose to use for public hearings. It just seemed to be one way to track what's going on and how to do public hearings.
Well, I actually really like all the work that you and Cooper and everyone has done. I think the big thing is, on the last one specifically, the public hearing guidelines, the checklist is great, but I think there are still some times when there's ambiguity, especially like with Cooper being new, right? I think it would be great to be able to have them more robust. If you take a look at Mashpee's, they have a set of guidelines that actually takes you through everything from the public hearing notice all the way through to filing the decision. So it's sort of like this is what has to happen. So it would be good for I think anybody who has that, but then the checklist itself would be really helpful.
Okay.
I can send you that link if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be good, because we do have a short description of the process for applicants, but. yeah.
So, with this
I'm always
public
happy
hearing-
to see.
This
Yeah.
public hearing tracking form, do you propose that it be actually executed every time we open a public hearing, or?
This was kind of just to open the discussion
Okay.
about if the board thought this would be helpful for your use or for staff use. We had envisioned, I had envisioned it actually as for board member use, and then you collect them and, have them as part of the file, but. that's-
Okay, well, that was my question. How do you see this being used? I mean, it's good,
Where we.
standardize the procedure.
It outlines how it should be
Yeah.
done. Okay.
Okay, so we'll put this on for January as well, and you
Sure.
guys can decide. Sorry. Okay.
All right. We're done with this. Now, can I move on?
Thank
7:10, then we'll go back to the beginning. MBTA communities, multifamily zoning work, moving forward. So we sent a letter to the governor's office. That went out.
And you heard back the next day?
Wait a minute. Did we?
Actually, I got the phone call.
So what did the governor say?
HLC, if you recall, Chris Clutchman, I met her when she was the planning director in town of Westford. She's since then moved on to
How did you know it came back the next? I didn't even know.
the.
I was joking.
Oh,
I was being
So-
sarcastic.
So
but-
my friend at HLC called and said, we got the letter, and she's looking, trying to carve out time with HLC staff to have an in-depth discussion on exactly what the town is looking for.
oh, so we got no decision.
Oh,
We just-
no,
They just got it.
No,
Okay.
we got
Well,
it.
it's good. It's
Well,
good.
she got it because she or one of her bosses was CC'd, is that
Yeah.
how she got it? Okay.
Yeah, well, any question to the governor's office that deals with housing would go to HLC.
But that's good that
Yeah.
we,
So at least, so we put that forward.
Yeah.
We are still moving forward. Anna, myself, Gary, and Chuck all met to talk about, assuming that we don't get relief from the governor's office, that we should continue, start moving forward.
yes.
We got, in our joint meeting, we got money to keep Emily employed as our consultant to keep moving forward on it, and we're actually, we're kind of, as far as I'm concerned, we're kind of in limbo till we hear what the governor has to say. But I think one of the consensuses was obviously we have to keep moving forward. We're planning
Well-
to move forward, but we're waiting to hear.
Maren sent around the warrant schedule, which is daunting to get anything done on this.
Well, we've got to get it made.
I know, I'm just
But
saying.
the other issue is like we talked about, we've done a lot of the work on it.
I
already.
agree.
So we can, a couple of meetings, so we can, even if we have to do twice a month, we can get it done for Maytown meeting if we have to. We're just kind of treading water until we find out, hopefully in January, what the governor's had to say and what we have to do after that.
I think one of the ways that we talked about it was that if it was to be approved, if our request and letter was to be approved, okay, then that's a separate path versus if she doesn't, then that's another path.
Right.
And so if we start to plan for that second one, which is, so what are we going to do and what does that look like? One of the first steps around that, in my opinion, is to be able to get resident input. And I do believe that being able to get a survey out in the field would be important so that we can have it back in a timely manner.
My only comment to that is fine.
To your,
if we
to your
have the
point
time.
about, it's a very fast timeline.
I know, and we've already surveyed people. Is it any different?
I think
We'll
it
get the
can
same,
be.
we'll get the same people from Foster Street?
No, well, no, remember, though, that we wanted to make sure that the entire town is included with this survey.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with you, Jeff, but
I think there is a way to do it. Diane said that there's a mailer that's going to be going out very soon that would encompass the entire town. It's a census, and so it would be it could be a ride-along.
And we
in
would
the
rely on Emily to do this,
So,
or at least put it together.
right, so what would be available to go with the census is 1 page or half a page. And so I would recommend, and it's the once-a-year opportunity to reach every household in Littleton with a mailing that's already going out. That said, I would ask Emily for a 1 page or half page flyer that explains that there is a survey and have the QR code
Okay.
on that. Problem is, Diane needs that paper probably printed by us and then delivered to the company that mails it out by next week, so. So Emily said.
But what would this survey say? We don't have any specific.
No,
We don't even know what sites
I
we're
know,
talking about.
I don't get
And
this.
when are the Longs planning to come before us again?
I guess in January, I thought they were on the agenda today,
Yeah,
so I
okay.
guess
So
probably in January.
January.
The other thing is, we don't know, like I said, we don't know which, I thought we had talked about doing an online survey to get
Yeah,
it
it
quicker.
would-
Well, it would be an online survey. It would
Okay.
be a QR
So,
code.
so
that
this,
just-
this mailing would be just, here's the situation, alert, alert, there's gonna be a survey that then we would have presumably a little more time to develop a survey.
Right, but how
Well-
can we say anything? I mean, I'm not
can't.
comfortable putting anything
don't.
together for next
So
week.
I
when we
actually
don't-
have a thought about this, okay?
Okay.
And I do believe that the survey would need to be on paper and QR code and any other form, simply because we have a certain segment of the population that doesn't know what to do with a QR
Yeah,
code. We do.
I agree.
Well,
But there's a
they
certain
can
segment
still
that
have a
doesn't.
link and
So
go
they
online.
could also come to town hall and pick up their form. They could go to the library, pick up a form. So again,
Remember,
it's
though,
telling
that,
folks.
that Emily said that the quote includes taking the results from an online survey. You know, having to input by hand is a much bigger,
Right,
process.
and I've asked her that question.
Yeah.
Is there a way for staff to take the paper input and provide that in a format that, so it's not all their time?
But it's still,
It's,
what are people being surveyed?
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
So I believe that there are at least a couple of questions, maybe no more than 3 or 4 that are pertinent. And so based off of what we heard at town meeting, we heard that folks didn't like that particular site. So if we ask folks, okay, and this was an idea from somebody else, that if we provided a map on the QR code, whatever, if we provided a map and said, okay, within the half-mile radius, these are the different spots. If you want to pick the spot that you would be comfortable having as our MBTA spot, which one would it be? A, B, C, or D? You know, pretty simple like that.
I think it's way premature, Anna. I really do. I mean,
Premature
we
in
can't,
the
we
sense-
can't refer to it as an MBTA site or whatever you want to call it, because we don't even know what the governor is going to say.
Right, we're assuming the governor's gonna turn us down, that's
Well,
why.
I'm
So-
assuming that,
right.
right? But who knows?
Right.
You know, who
Right.
knows?
So that's why, I'm going back to the very beginning when Jeff said, you know, that timeline is very tough. And so I'm just broaching this as an opportunity from a timing standpoint, that if something is going to drop, then we can put it in there and get it done. So that's all I'm looking at right now, is the opportunity. If we had 6 months instead of 3 months, that would change the story, right? Because I totally agree. I would love for the answer to be yes, and then, you know, we can go on our merry way. Another question that came up was in terms of the property that we have been round and round about, around 245 Foster Street, as to if we wanted to ask residents, because it doesn't, at this moment, other than being one of several properties that could potentially be an MBTA property, we could ask residents, at some point, something will be built there. What would you prefer to see there? And there can be options, A, B, C, you know. But there will be something built there. So that at least provides us with some input as well. Going back to what it is about the whole MBTA, we could also ask folks, what kind of housing? Again, all we're doing is we're
We've already
zoning.
asked that. We've
We're
already asked
zoning.
that question. We already have the results from the survey that we did for the Littleton
I-
Village, and-
That would be appropriate for if it wasn't, to get information if it's not used as an MBTA site.
Correct.
Even that, we have.
But,
Right.
you know, whatever the survey is, it's going to include that site as a potential MBTA site. I mean, I totally reject the idea that the town, that the 10-plus people who, you know, didn't want it there, it's not representative of the town.
And I totally agree with you,
Yeah.
but they were the folks who showed up to vote.
Yes.
So from that standpoint, rightly or wrongly, it is representative, because that's what got the vote the way that it went. So, to be able to get more information, that's why this opportunity is here. We have tried to get folks here to forums. We have tried to be able to engage folks online.
And we
Right.
got a lot of information. You know, we had forums, I don't want to rehash this. We did all this work 5 years ago, 4 years ago, okay?
The
So
other-
I think it's way premature.
But the other thing, if we are gonna do it, we have to, we had the discussion about the sites. There's really 6 sites up there. There's really 6 parcels. Which ones are viable and which ones are not viable? You know, so it begs the question, you can't put them all in there if if the governor is not gonna approve a 19-acre site, okay?
Well, okay, but Emily's contribution is to look at a 19-acre site and say, this is going to require 300 units.
Right.
Versus we have a site that's tailored to.
Right. So
you know.
if we're gonna.
And people were upset about, well, we don't know exactly how many units are going to be there, and I don't know what to say to that. When they create these algorithms that are so complex that you need a data scientist to, you know, do it, that's just the way it is.
So then if we're gonna.
And it also, it's zoning, it does not represent the actual yield on the site based on the site characteristics and all that kind of thing.
Which is why
So-
we also should not be getting into design, what do you want houses to look like,
No,
any
none
of
of
that.
that, none
We
of
are
that.
muddying
Fine,
the
so,
waters.
so what should we do then if, here's the concern that I continue to have, and that is, if we do not engage folks in a meaningful way where they feel like they have been heard about what they want there, we could very well wind up with the same problem again. And being able to say, everybody here had that chance.
But what, I've been through so many years of people saying what they want. And we had a guy who stood up and said, I want to move the MBTA station.
Yeah.
We had someone who stood up and said, I want a farm there.
It's all
I
here.
just
We
And I
don't-
agree, I agree.
You know,
And that's why I said, Tilly said, no more than 3 or 4 questions.
but we don't even know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to need to put in an MBTA.
Well, no, that's what we can't do anything till the governor answers us.
I know, that's what I'm
okay?
saying. I think
Well,
putting
So
on
we
a
need to decide this
survey,
in January. We can't do a survey till January.
Yeah,
We'll have an answer by then, and then by that time,
then we can. That's
and
my
we need
point.
to, if we're gonna put parcels, if they're gonna choose which one they like, it has to be legitimate things that can be built.
I agree.
We
And I
go
think
down a slippery
also-
slope if we try to put something in. The governor is not stupid. They're not gonna let us approve something that will never be built. And I don't thinking, oh, maybe in 20
They
years
have
it
in
will.
other towns, though.
Yeah, I
Then
don't
I'll
know
get-
if I agree with that, Mark. I
Yeah.
mean,
The governor, Kim Driscoll told me to my face that they want to make sure that whatever's being proposed,
they want housing
they
development.
want this developed. They want housing,
Right.
housing, housing. They want it built.
But most towns don't have vacant parcels.
I know, that's the
So-
beauty of it, but you can't put it on, let me put it, I'll make it really exaggerated. You can't rezone the Prudential building that's worth $1 billion and try to put a $50 million apartment complex on. No one's gonna do it, it doesn't make any sense. Yes, it passed zoning and everything else, but it doesn't, financially, no one is ever gonna do it, and they're not stupid, they realize that. yes, Suffolk Downs is an empty lot, it's got a bunch of broken down old buildings, that makes sense. An old rickety old warehouse makes sense, you know. It has to be something that makes sense to be redeveloped.
But,
Vacant lot or a building that's dilapidated or something like that.
well,
Well, it doesn't have to be dilapidated.
Well, no, but I mean, it has to make sense.
Lexington, all those,
Yeah.
I mean, they're not dilapidated.
But it
they're
has to make
just-
sense
yeah.
that somebody would
Right.
actually spend the
But
money
I
to
think
do
we
it.
have three parcels that are feasible.
Okay.
The problem is that some of them are very large, and
Mm-hmm.
that entire, it would end up being an awful lot of
And
units
that's
there.
exactly. So we have to tell the people,
Right.
we have to have Emily give us an idea
Right,
of
that,
what's going
okay,
on.
if you
but we
pick-
already have that info.
I know
from
we
the
do.
Previous thing.
I know we do.
Yeah,
We know.
but I think though, tying back into Anna's survey idea, which I do think we need to do a survey, people need to understand, oh, yeah, I want that parcel. Well, understand, you want that parcel, that means there's gonna be 300 units there.
Exactly, right.
Versus this parcel would be 170.
Right, we have to do, if we're gonna do
Yeah.
it and we're gonna give them an option, they have to know what they're
Right.
looking at. And I agree with you, if we're gonna include 245 Foster Street, we put that in, it's gonna have this amount of units, and if it doesn't, it's gonna have industrial and it could be 150,000. So
So-
you have to put everything on.
What we were talking about before was this mailer. And as I understood, the process with the mailer would sort of more or less alert people to the existence of this survey at some future date.
But we
I
may
mean,
not. I mean, what if the governor, by some chance, I mean, I don't think it's likely, but says, okay, Littleton, yes, we'll give you a waiver.
Well, then we're done.
Then we don't, then we
Yeah.
Then we
don't
don't
need a
have to do the
survey.
survey, we
I
don't
know,
need
but then
anything.
someone accesses a survey and goes, hey,
Well, the
no,
QR code can
Yeah.
say, congratulations, little.
we've satisfied the.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
mean,
no, I
it's-
agree with you.
yeah.
So what we
Yeah.
talked about, so yeah, if by some strange miracle, the governor commutes our sentence,
Right.
you know, and goes along with it, then we need to talk about 245 Foster Street in another different light, if in fact we want to talk about rezoning that to residential so that we have an opportunity to put some sort of housing complex, senior housing.
Have they
affordable.
executed the A&R?
No, they're in the A&R, no, it's just sitting there. They never
They
recorded it.
never recorded it, okay.
So that's a different story once we find out what happened with the governor. So we're kind of, we're treading water right now,
I
waiting to hear
know.
what the governor
I
has to
just
say.
think, as much as I would love to get something in the residents' hands
We
next
can't do it till
week,
January.
there's just,
We don't know what
we
we're doing.
have nothing.
Okay.
Well, remember though, whatever gets put out there wouldn't be dropped until sometime in January. Did Diane get back to you on your question?
Actually, I went and talked to her, so they would get mailed out in January, or early to mid-January, and then technically they're due back in 10 days, but they usually dribble in over several
Wait a
months.
second, what would it cost us to do our own mailing?
About $6,000.
Well, 6,000, we have $26,000. We could use 6,000 of the
Well, could
26
we-
to bulk mailing on our
Yeah,
own.
or do similar to some of the outreach for the master plan. You did the online splash, you do the push out email from the news, and then you carry around flyers to the various.
Yeah, we talked
we
about
could do
library,
that.
we do
transfer
Littleton
station, the
Moms.
library, the
Yeah,
this.
we could
Yeah.
put it in all the public places, maybe we go on
Social
LCT
media.
and say they're there.
So based on what
We can
Lauren
take it
just
to the
said,
senior center.
from
you know.
a date standpoint, again, it's a survey, nobody's gonna even know that QR code exists until they get that mailer and they open it, so that means we've got till probably the middle of January to come up with something.
Well,
I'm just saying,
we can't do anything till we know.
Well, you said you talked to Emily, that she could possibly come up with something.
She could do the QR code for sure, the flyer perhaps by next week. We don't have a contract with her
Yeah.
yet, so the
When she's not gonna
contracting
do
is gonna be.
I mean, heck, I can do a QR code. I mean, you
Well,
know.
but I mean, she could
But-
do a paragraph saying, hey, this is coming up, this is what we would like input on, you know, we're almost there, you know. If we had the thermometer, we'd be, you know, almost up to the top for the, you know, last 150 units.
When are you signing the
Yes.
contract with Emily?
I
When is-
need to contact procurement, Ryan, and.
Okay, so we can't do
and work
anything
through
until we
that.
get the money anyway.
So, well,
Okay.
This is a tough time to push something through.
Yeah, I mean-
Tough time of year.
All right, so we just have to wait till January anyway.
We're
By that
just
time,
gonna
we'll
have to
hopefully
wait.
heard from the governor, and we'll have a better idea at our next meeting, so we'll put this back on to that and figure out what we're doing after that. So, Mark?
This might be, this is just a general question, but why not just write up a small blivet and put in the QR code, put in the mailing, and then even if the governor does the MBTA, then you still want to have a survey to say, what would you like to have developed on this property? If they don't, then you can go through more questions, and you don't have to pay for the mailing, all you have to do is pay for the printing of your little slip of paper, right? And if nothing happens and the QR code's dead, all you're out is the cost of the printing, right? It makes a lot of, I mean, you're spending nothing now and making no decisions now except to spend money on generating a QR code and a printing, right?
If we do that, the town saves $6,000.
You're not spending, it's committing you to, in January, coming up with what to put on the survey, not now.
We had talked about that, and the question was, Emily was going to do the QR code and the paragraph. In the absence of Emily doing that, and she doesn't have a contract
Cooper
yet.
did that.
Pardon?
The problem.
Cooper, okay.
The beautiful thing is, if Emily does it, if they can drive the survey information, they have software that will tell them, they can do one QR code that goes out in the mail. They can do, it's all the same survey, but one QR code that goes out in the mail, and they can tell how many responses they got from the mailer. One QR code that's on the website, how many responses from people who got that. So we also get an idea of what outreach is working.
So what was the deadline for this mailer?
Next Tuesday.
Okay, so that's
I
crazy.
mean, well.
But we could still,
wait, whatever.
we could still publish the QR code in the, on the town website,
Yeah. Don't do it in all the other places, then at least we can write a paragraph that
And-
says something.
We could do some flyers that we, hand distribute.
Right. We just don't do a bulk.
But
mailing
I don't
for-
think we can do something by Tuesday, that's.
What would we even refer to it as?
We don't even
Because
know
it may
yet.
not be an MBTA community, it may just be this.
We don't know. All right, so I think we still have to wait, but anyway.
But actually,
I think it's a lost opportunity, but that's the last I'll say about it.
I don't.
but in 3 days, 2 working days?
In communications PR terms, 3 days is a hell of a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, but I also, as a marketer here, you need to make sure you're not doing misinformation, miscommunication, and we don't know what we're even surveying right now. To even write a paragraph, it would be nothing. We can't even refer to it as
Even
anything.
if all we ever did was an online survey and didn't do a bulk mailing, we're still way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
If we wait and decide to do
Yeah.
that in January,
You know.
we're still.
Well, I do think to reach the entire town, we're going to need to
We're
do
not-
a bulk mailing.
You're not gonna reach the entire town. A lot of people aren't even gonna look at it. They don't even know what to do with it. We do it that way, and you're not gonna get 10,000.
What was the last,
Bulk
what?
mail the town meeting warrant, so.
Yeah, and we bulk mailed
All the
for one of
information's-
the, was it the OSPRC? Did we do a bulk mailing or the?
No, for the
By-
master plan.
We've done stuff where we put it in the light and water bills. When they.
Well, that used to work a lot better. Now, so many people are doing online
Online,
billing, you don't reach
Say,
as many
nobody even
households.
looks at, yeah, so, anyway, I think we still have to figure out what we're doing
Yeah.
before we, anyway, okay,
Well, let's get Emily signed up
Yeah.
at least.
yeah. All right, 6 o'clock, board business, meetings, prior meetings, November 16th. Anyone have any questions or concerns about the minutes? Having heard nothing, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All those in
Well,
favor?
hold on,
Oh, dear.
minor thing.
Your time had passed. You
No,
didn't say anything right
on number
away.
7, somebody who did that paragraph, it's kind of scrunched up, used the word selectmen. Should be select board.
Don't laugh, Bartlett. I know you're laughing at me. You're supposed to be
Is he
laughing with me.
making faces again?
I wasn't making
You know
any
those
faces.
are gonna stick,
No,
right?
I wasn't making any faces. I was.
making a face.
I was. See, Bartlett, good thank you. I
So
wasn't-
whoever does the notes, and I did appreciate the fact that in the first page, page and a half, it was very well spaced out, very nice, and then they got scrunched again, so I don't know, there might have been a couple different
Other
eyes on
than
that.
selectmen, are the minutes okay? If we call them select, or select board or
Select board members, yes.
select board members, okay. Back in the day, they used to be selectmen. Can't say that anymore.
No,
I
you
guess. All right,
cannot.
so,
Well, they're not selected anymore.
No.
Can I entertain a motion to
Mark?
approve?
Sorry, go ahead. One more. You were asking about the minutes. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun.
No, I just want to make sure everybody's good with it, we can approve it. All those in favor of the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're good, okay. Here's your QR code.
So Littleton Hazard Mitigation Plan, we have a survey out there. MAPC is going to leave the survey up through all of January. We're going to do a push on it as soon as time allows, so hopefully next week.
So we could do something like that.
There you go, that's actually what that could look like.
But we can do, but where is
But
it?
they also actually have the survey drafted and ready to go. It's several pages. It includes a
Bills?
good introduction.
Um,
Bills are,
I'm trying to get out of here before Christmas. Anna, you have the
bills are
bills?
right there.
How about a pen to go with them? You got anything good to, what are we paying for? We didn't pay for that.
So, two peer review bills, one small bill from Amazon for a nameplate for Mr. Cooper Matthews. And
Did we do it in finger paints?
no, we did not.
He's going to be listening to this.
Yes.
He doesn't like me.
He's going to be transcribing.
Let's be.
Those, and then one reimbursement for me that extends from July through the SNEPA conference in October.
It's not mine. It's mine. I made up the Cooper. I apologize to him.
Now we need to put it to
That's
rest.
good, yeah. You know, in 30 years, he'll appreciate that,
That's true.
you know. Oh, what did you send the pen along? Is it your pen? Never mind, I'll take it back.
There's another set.
There is.
I mean, it's coming around.
So we need the pen back this way.
Okay. I have my own pen.
Nope, too late. Nope, too late. The pen and the thing go. All right, that one's going back. Hazardous mitigation plan, Sarah, you just put that up. Member input from any neighbor, residents, or anything else like that. Anybody got anything?
I have a question about the Hager Homestead affordable process. What's the status of that?
So yesterday, all the paperwork went up to Ryan for signature. So we got the, on the first for sale unit, it will be the 150 AMI unit, or one of the 150 AMI units. Buyer qualified and happens to be a Littleton resident. So we got the resale price certificate and the certificate of compliance that just certifies that the buyer qualifies right now. And then HLC has signed the regulatory agreement. So that also went upstairs and Ryan signed off on that. So we have all the documents needed for, well, all the this stage documents needed for the closing on the first one.
So when are they scheduling closings?
Well, they're working now with the fire department and building department on a punch list of the number of items that need to be done in order to make the site safe for habitation. Right now, it's still a construction site, and so there's a number of things that have to happen. But
Well, that's great.
yeah, it's
But there are like nine affordable units, right?
8 total.
Okay. Thanks to Anna's advocacy.
Do we have a number of what they're paying, what it costs them over there? Did they ever give us a budget? They never did give us a budget.
The total construction cost, no.
And can we talk about the whole process with the historic house? Which was essentially, well, the Hager Homestead Historic House that was essentially deconstructed and reconstructed. And, you know, I get comments like, they just torn it down and reconstructed it. And I feel like they proposed that project with the representation that they were keeping the house, and in the end, they kept a facsimile of the house.
Well, because they ran into issues they didn't anticipate.
That's baloney. That's,
Well, they did. I mean, it was all
they
fine.
did, but there are historic buildings all the time that work through those problems. Now, I'm just saying, I just have a bad, you know, I'm glad, you know, it's a facsimile, but, I'm the historic person on this board, and it didn't, the representation when we were there on site about the various problems they had, which were minor, like 2 places where a chimney went through the roof and the flashing failed or something, then they tore down the whole structure.
Well, I don't know if they tore it down.
They
Felt like
did!
they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, they did. They had these huge beams and everything that they just,
I was expecting every time I drove by just to see it.
well, it flapped in the wind for a long time.
I thought they were waiting for a hurricane.
I just,
I know.
I just want, you know, this process was unsatisfying to me.
I have a question, and it's not on here, but it was brought up at the Affordable Housing Trust. Are we anywhere with Dean Lane and what's going on out there? Is there nothing?
Yeah, the last I heard, I had given you an update, I think 2 months ago, that the developer had reached out to the homeowners association on whether or not they would accept all of the remaining property, which is the 2 unbuildable lots on the main part of the subdivision plus the lot on Dean Lane. My recommendation was that it would be up to them, but it was, the town still was requiring an affordable unit to be
Right.
built.
There's still, yeah, okay.
So, nothing.
Nothing. We're nowhere further. Do we want to leave it
Is it
there?
just gonna go forever?
Yeah, it's gonna, I guess, unless we decide
There'll
to
be
push
this
it.
phantom affordable unit?
They never got, well, it's a pup tent somewhere. Who knows?
So regarding the other antique, so the Affordable Housing Trust is finalizing the action plan, 5-year action plan, and Durkee Farm is going to be at the forefront of that discussion. And so we're in the final throes of getting the insurance approved so that it can be acquired by the town through the Affordable Housing Trust. Maureen, any sense on when we're going to get a response for the insurance company as a benchmark? I sent you an email.
Yeah, I know you sent me an email. I have no idea who holds the insurance policies in town, so.
Oh, and we got yelled at for taking that property, so in the future.
So, I heard that comment, and I don't think it's a bad comment.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
What do you mean yelled at by, what are you
well,
talking
the
about?
Affordable Housing Trust yelled at the planning board for accepting the Durkee where we should not have taken.
There was no yelling.
Yeah, well, I was, all right,
No,
I'm being
there
facetious when
wasn't.
I'm saying yelling, but they suggested that in the future that we don't take dilapidated old houses as,
Well,
we took it as open space.
who was doing the yelling? You guys.
There was no yelling.
No, but I think that's not a bad
I
comment.
agree,
We
you know,
calmly
Yeah.
made a recommendation to the
in the
relevant
future.
boards. Not
We
to-
took the open space, it happened to have a dilapidated old house on it.
I mean,
That would be,
you could have sold it to someone and
We still
taken the
can.
money.
We
and-
still can.
yeah,
We
and
haven't-
It may not be a bad
we
thing.
haven't
question?
decided that
I think we
yet.
have to still
Anyway,
approve
It
our
could be
calendar.
Yeah.
a
We
little
we could keep the open
multifamily
space
thing, or-
and sell the house and let somebody build a house on it, and take the money to use for affordable.
So
somewhere else.
you
But
want
we
me to
haven't-
go through that
The
now?
Affordable Housing
Yeah.
Trust
Yeah.
hasn't decided that yet.
Maren, is there a way to find out who in town government does do the insurance for town property?
Yeah, the question also went to the town administrator, to Ryan, and he'll
I would assume it's
hopefully weigh in
probably
on it.
Ryan. Ryan handles the insurance, or something like that, but yeah. We just approved
So I
the
hear Maren
money.
saying we need to bug Ryan.
All right. Anything else? Nothing else?
Yeah, we have received from Mr. Cooper our schedule of proposed meetings for the
saw
next
that.
6 months. Did everybody have a chance to look at it or not yet, to say yay or nay?
A couple of weeks ago.
I can't tell you what I'm doing in 6 hours, never mind 6
I
months.
mistakenly printed it out as 11 by 17, and it was really scary.
Okay, so
we can,
everybody good on these?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Mark, you just said yes
I mean,
to
we
it,
can always
so.
I
change
didn't
it.
say yes, I said I'll let you know. We still have flexibility. Don't worry about me, you should be worrying about Delisa. She's the one traveling the world, I'm just traveling Littleton.
Hey, I know I'm gonna be here in January, February, so, oh, no, maybe not.
Yeah, see, I don't know, I can't tell you if it.
Why did that happen?
Anyway,
February in Massachusetts?
anybody, public input, any Mr. Sanders? Nope, he's not here tonight. Anybody? Nope, nobody.
There is one final thing.
There always is with you.
Yes, thank you. So, we had said over a year ago that we would address the odor of marijuana grow facilities in town, and so I wanted to find out if that is something that we can still proceed with, especially given the issues that we've had with the current one.
So, we had several presentations from the odor control specialists, and they were, well, it's like the turtle presentations. It was really interesting how they had these jars and, you know, and this and that. And I was surprised that there was some kind of assessment of odor that was possible. But what is the status of that project? Did we?
The public hearings continued till the January meeting.
Okay.
They're redesigning, I think they listened to what we had to say, and I think they're coming in with another more robust, I would hope, more robust.
But you at the time, or someone was advocating that there be some kind of online reporting portal?
Yeah, dashboard of some kind, yep. Yeah, and I still agree with that. What I'm referencing is that we had a resident who came to,
They want to make sure there were no second one. They want to make sure the one and that was it, so.
One
Right.
what?
One marijuana growing facility
Oh,
in town. of
yeah.
Littleton.
Yeah.
right. So is that something that we have an appetite to do for Springtown meeting?
Oh, just limited to one?
Mm-hmm.
When we had the application for the second one, I think, well, the process made them go away.
Right. The negativity of the whole
Right.
thing, yeah, they decided to go away, so.
I don't know if I have the,
Maybe we should wait and see what the governor says first about the whole MBTA thing.
why?
I don't know.
Oh,
Just a
just to
lot.
wait.
No, just because it could be a lot of work, or
Yeah.
maybe not.
Well, what would you have in
care
mind,
either
just
way.
limiting the,
Change our bylaw to say one, not,
Mm-hmm.
just put a number, one.
But wait, I thought we were talking about zoning it, like looking at means.
I think we're talking about getting rid of, we got one, that's all we're ever gonna want, and that's it. One.
Is that-
I mean,
is that
can
even
the town
legal to
afford
do that?
No,
No, we can change it.
we can change it.
okay.
But do we want to? I mean, town loses money, and we certainly
Well,
need it.
I don't, I mean,
But what if it's what if it's in a place that isn't near houses?
yeah, I was thinking like the FIBA building or something.
You know what I mean? That,
I don't know, why wouldn't our normal review process be enough? It's something to think about. Why don't we put it on the,
January agenda.
I
yeah.
think we should also talk to the Economic Development Committee.
Is it really that, is it worth that much money?
Sure.
The growing?
I would think
Do we
so.
get 3% for growing it too?
No,
No.
retail sales only.
It's just
Is
property
it just
taxes.
property tax?
Yeah.
We don't get anything else? Oh, I guess I assumed.
Mark
actually,
is
I don't
saying
know.
no.
Just property tax.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, it's
Can
not
we
that
get more?
advantageous.
Oh, yeah,
and-
okay.
and-
I thought
And we
maybe
get
there
to
was
hear
something else.
complaints of residents.
Yeah, I thought maybe.
So
Well,
if we
that's a
could-
thought.
If we could put it on the January agenda, I think that would be great.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
We did tell the lady that we would at least entertain the notion,
Yes.
sure.
On the other hand, when we had the hearing about the manufacturing on Air Road, which was not growing, someone showed up and said, I live 2 miles away and I can smell it, type thing. And so I don't know what we can do.
They can smell sanctuary 2 miles away?
They can, she said, anyway, it was, I don't want to say nonsensical, but it didn't pass the smell
But are we
test.
talking about sanctuary? That's what I'm at.
They must be.
No, she was talking about the G7 or
not even-
the one that went into your space.
But how can?
That's the point, that's the
They haven't
point.
even started
They haven't
doing
even
anything.
done it.
That's the point.
Yeah, how
That's
can
the
you smell it
point.
2 miles away if
This
there's
whole,
nothing in
this
there?
whole,
There's
and
nothing
2 miles away,
And there's nothing there. and
So,
they haven't started it.
I know, this is my point.
Yeah.
We will always get people.
Yes, that's true.
Anyway, but I don't think there's, I mean, the only other thing I would say is, does it really advantage the people who have the permit already unfairly?
Well, they got it, they're grandfathered, obviously.
I know they're grandfathered, but, that's, anyway,
got
whatever.
one.
We can talk about it. I
Yes.
think it's worth talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, anything else? Anything else we need to add? Are we good? Can we adjourn till after Christmas? After the new year?
So our next meeting's January 11th? Okay.
Will Cooper be here then?
Pardon?
Will Cooper be here?
As far as I know.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
I can't wait for when you can't come.
Oh,
There you go.
she can't wait either. Thank you, Maren, you've done for a great year, you've done a great job. I know you've been stressed, there's a lot going on.
The January meeting's going to be a long one.
Why? Oh, we gave you fluff stuff.
Well, we've got the continued hearing for Newtown Road storage. You've got the continued hearing for, whatchamacallit, sanctuary. We expect the new application, potential new application for 550 King Street.
Okay, and you'll probably be getting a call from the lawyers tomorrow to tell them if they want to go. Who's in charge of that? They're in charge.
Chris is in charge of any
No, but I mean, as
communications.
far as getting the notices out in the paper, that's you, right?
If they want to open a hearing.
If they want to open a
Oh,
public hearing. yeah.
well, I have to get the complete application
Yeah,
first,
okay.
so, yeah.
Okay.
Make sure Anna goes over it and make sure it's correct, because that might delay it.
No, that's Cooper's new job.
Okay, good. Are you training him?
Are you going to leave it alone? We're not going to get, no, never mind.
No way.
Tis the
No
season.
way.
I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good. Ho, ho, ho. All right, well then I'll entertain a motion to, you're gonna kick out of this, aren't you, Bartley? You keep smirking.
What else can I do?
I guess, yeah. Anyway, I would entertain a motion to adjourn till the new year, till after the new year.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you for your service.